She had always believed in second chances, whether rescuing stray animals or volunteering at the food bank, but nothing in Heather Cornelius's history of kindness could have prepared her for the hellish betrayal waiting behind her own front door. When she met him in the spring of 2012, he was everything she'd ever wanted: steady, supportive, the calm to her storm. Family gatherings with her 10 siblings became moments of laughter she once dreaded. With him by her side, the noise felt like music. For almost a decade, everything felt safe until it didn't. Little cracks began to appear when Heather enlisted in the U.S. Coast Guard. Each promotion only seemed to heighten his insecurities. He convinced her it was love when he asked to track her phone for safety. He installed hidden apps. GPS maps showed her every move. She brushed it off at first, proud to serve and believing he simply cared. But what began as caring concern morphed into digital imprisonment. He scrutinized her texts, demanded passwords. He invented crises to lure her home early. Love, she believed, could heal him. Yet every apology made her more certain. She was trapped in a nightmare that grew more surreal each day. The first time he struck her was a hotel stay on assignment. A misunderstanding over dinner plans ended in bruised ribs and broken promises. She gasped for breath as he shoved her into the bathroom wall, apologizing through tears the moment he realized what he'd done. "I'm sorry, Heather. I love you," he sobbed. In the mirror, her reflection looked back at her with bruised eyes and a confused heart. Trembling, she hid the pain beneath long sleeves and whispered excuses to concerned friends. They reached out, offered rides, urged her to call the hotlines. She smiled and said she would, then tore up pamphlets later that night, convinced he was worth saving. Yet the cycle intensified. During a family barbecue, he slapped her across the face. His voice hush-whispered, "You're mine." Her sisters watched in horror as he dragged her away. They would later share photos of her swollen lips with law enforcement. Every bruise, every cut, became evidence of a love twisted into control. He began choking her during intimacy, 2 chilling incidents that left her unconscious. When she came to, he was behind her, whispering apologies. "I didn't mean to hurt you." In those moments, she gripped his uniform, convinced herself she was to blame. But after the second time, she lay awake in the dark, her throat sore, her spirit fracturing. She researched domestic violence hotlines at 3 a.m, gathering courage like precious stones. Finally, in November of 2021, Heather fled with her 2 young children. She packed overnight bags while he slept, crept to her car, and drove until dawn. She pulled into a church parking lot, dialing her command's crisis number with shaking fingers. Within hours, a protective order was in place. But relief was short-lived. He tracked her to a friend's house, pounding on the door late at night, shouting through windows. He slashed her tires and swore she'd never escape. She spent nights in safe rooms on military bases, her children shivering under blankets soaked in fear. Then came the night of chemical torture. He lured her back with promises of therapy, tears streaming down his face. She crossed their threshold feeling hollow, determined to forgive. As soon as the door clicked shut, he seized her shoulders, pushing her to the floor. She obeyed, heart-hammering. He slipped on blue nitrile gloves, uncapped a white bottle of industrial lye. Before Heather could scream, the acid hissed into her right eye. Her scream shredded the silence. He hissed back, "Be quiet, or I'll kill you." As the burning spread like wildfire, he repeated the horror on her left eye. She blacked out. When she awoke in a hospital trauma bay, flesh hung in wisps from her cheeks. Doctors told her the lye had melted her eyelids. They airlifted her to a level 1 burn center. 3 surgeries in 5 days grafted skin from her thighs to rebuild eyelids. Her right eye destroyed was sewn shut. The left clung to blurred vision under heavy dressings. In the burn unit corridor, she drifted between unconsciousness and nightmares. Nurses gently probed for the truth. Each time she opened her mouth, a fresh wave of terror silenced her. "Protect my children," she whimpered. "They must be safe." As her body healed, military police burst in, evidence in hand, his prints on the gloves, tracking app logs, his voice on emergency recordings. He was arrested under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, stripped of rank and confined. Yet Heather still trembled. Who knew what he'd do if she spoke? Everything hinged on bravery born of desperation. Transferred to Walter Reed's recovery program, Heather confronted the aftermath of abuse. A psychologist explained her trauma as a forest where every turn looked the same, where help seemed always just beyond sight. Support groups taught her abuse is never deserved, that survival required naming the unspeakable. There, she learned adaptive skills, feeding herself with one hand, navigating by braille on her bedside rail, reading children's books aloud to rebuild her voice. Meanwhile, her children, her anchor through every storm, returned to her arms. They clung to her like stars, finding gravity again. In their laughter, Heather rediscovered purpose. No more running. No more hiding. Within months, she returned to the base in a wheelchair, greeted by cheering colleagues. They formed a human corridor, lifting her into the briefing room. Amidst tears and applause, she vowed to protect others. She launched Seeing Strength, a nonprofit offering reconstructive surgery and counseling to survivors of domestic violence. She trained as a peer mentor, guiding women through shelters and civilian courtrooms. Every certificate she earned became another nail in the coffin of her fear. In March of 2024, she stood before Congress, her visage half hidden beneath scarred skin, urging lawmakers to criminalize digital surveillance by intimate partners. Cameras streamed her testimony worldwide. Her words shook halls. "My abuser used love as a weapon. He tracked my every move. He stole my sight. He tried to steal my life. No one should live in that darkness." After the hearing, a young sailor approached her in tears. "You saved me," he whispered. Across the globe, messages flooded her inbox, survivors finding strength in her survival. On the second anniversary of her rescue, Heather and a circle of survivors commemorated at the parking lot where she'd once huddled. They laid white roses beneath the street lamp. Her voice broke the hush. "We survived to walk each other home." Today, Heather races through obstacle course events to raise funds for survivors, her prosthetic eye gleaming in the sunday. She trains her daughters in self-defense, teaching them that safety sometimes demands strength. She mentors at the Academy for victims of violence, turning trauma into triumph. Her right eye, forever closed, became a badge of resilience. Each scar along her jawline testifies to pain overcome. She forgave her abuser, not for him, but to free herself from hatred's chains. "I survived for a purpose," she tells audiences. "Every morning I wake grateful to see another sunrise." Heather Cornelius's odyssey through darkness, chemical assault, betrayal, digital enslavement, and ultimate liberation stands as a beacon. She rebuilt her life, her family, her career, and above all, her faith in goodness. In turning her scars into wings, she teaches us that true strength lies not in denying our wounds but in rising above them, shining light into the world's darkest corners.